Hello everyone, this is Susan from Susan Hiles Art, and this is a crafty chit chat and slow stitching video that's not on a Monday. Can you believe it? I wanted to do an extra video. There will still be a video on Monday, but I wanted to do this extra video just to kind of give you guys, I don't know, an update on where my head is at and what I'm thinking about, and I can't do everything at once. I have so many ideas in my head. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But I have to kind of pick and choose. But I just kind of wanted to share with you what the different things that I've pulled out and different ideas. Now, none of this is new. I'm not saying I'm the first person to ever come up with any of these ideas. It's just that for me, it's something different. And so you guys know that I'm going to be working on 2.5-inch squares. And on each one, I'm going to be sewing some sort of a flower, that kind of thing. Well, so I went from that thought, which I'm still going to do. And then my mind just went. And then I went looking through my stash and I came up with even more things. So I think what I'll do first is let me move some of this stuff. Like I say, I have so many ideas I want to share with you all, and I want your opinions on what you think of everything. So, all right, I don't need that. So one of the things that I knew I wanted to try to use to make a flower were the little crocheted hearts. And I didn't have any more of the small ones, but I did run across these. So I don't know. I think that that's like too big to use, obviously. I mean, I had ones that were probably half this size that I've used as flowers, and they worked out really great. But for that size page, these are not going to work. But I'm going to keep them up here in my craft room. I had these downstairs. I have I don't know, a large stash of stuff, crafty stuff downstairs. And these I bought years ago from Maramie's Small Art. And yep, so I can't use the hearts like I was hoping to because I don't have any small ones left. But I did find these, and I have no idea where I got all of these from, but these are wooden. You know what? I need like a plate or something. Let me grab a plate from over here and pour these out so you can see what I'm looking at. And I have my camera up a little higher than usual, but I did that on purpose because, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to make sure you saw everything. Let me make sure that I put everything in the right spot. Okay, so these are wooden. And, oops, oh, that was bad. That was bad. I have little white things, little beads flying all over the place. Okay, so there's another bead in here. I want to take all of these out. One actually flew onto me. I have no idea. I think it's on the floor at this point. But let me show you. So these little wooden pieces, I mean, there's holes in them. Right, they're to make jewelry, I'm going to assume, but this would be super cute to use on one of my blocks, right? So I do have these hearts, and let me open these, but this one is a little different because these have these cute little flowers, which also would be fun to use. Here's some more little beads. And how fun would it be to use these beads to, I don't know, even for the center of a flower, or somehow put them together to make a flower. I don't know. But so there's those little beads, and here's some more just like it. I wish I remembered where I got these. If you are new to my channel, so the reason that I am going through, it's like a transition into a new project. I had just finished a project, and a sewing project, and I've been, you know, thinking about exactly what I'm going to do next. And I knew that I wanted to do, look at how pretty that is. That's super pretty. Super pretty. So yeah, so I know that I'm gonna do these little squares, and I'm just gonna do easy stuff on them. Like, yeah, just easy stuff. So I have all this fun little stuff here to play with. So I have that. I also, because like, so I wanted to do stamps. Let me grab these other stamps first. And again, so all of this might not be perfect for this particular project, but as I was looking through my stamps, and I have acrylic stamps as well as the wood blocks, but look at this stamp. Isn't that just beautiful? And it would fit right on there. So in reality, if I wanted to do a square where I would do this stamp, and I would use this black archival distress ink, and because if you look at the eyelashes on here, they look like pistol stitches, and I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could stamp this and just stitch along all of the lines, right, and have a really amazing face on there. So I'm thinking about doing that. But even these like little flowers, like that is such a great thing to stamp on here and then sew, because I have all these nice long stems with cute little flowers on the top. And I'm just going to show you, like, I'm into hearts. I love hearts. So I could stamp hearts. This one, I like this leaf right here. Like, I would just stamp that leaf on here and sew, right? So that would be more like of the embroidery. The other thing that I decided I wanted to do, well, let me share this with you. So there's also this heart over here that I really liked. I thought was a good size. On here, there's a nice little butterfly here. Then there's these flowers, which I thought were like perfect. Like, how perfect would that be stamped on here? Just perfect. Or even that one, or that butterfly, right? I mean, or that flower. This was a really good stamp set. The sizes of those were good. And then here's another stamp, like the stars, right? So the thought is to stamp onto the fabric and then stitch or embroider either around where the ink stamped it down, or stitch inside of it and use like the satin stitch and just kind of fill it in. But I was also thinking, even if I used a little yo-yo, and I had shared this last time, and I did this stem and I did some leaves, I thought it would be really, really, really fun to stamp a background, at least a background, on all of the blocks. So each block would have some sort of a stamp on it. So I pulled out some of my favorite background stamps. And so it would be really fun to like stamp like a little bit of this maybe down in the corner, and then still do my stitching on it. The same thing that I was thinking of doing, except I can use some sort of a background stamp, and I have plenty of them. So I definitely want to do that. I know that. And then I saw this stamp and I'm like, well, if I stamp this on here, it's giving me multiple flowers to stitch. So I thought that that was like a lot of fun as well and another good option. Then I was thinking, as I was looking through everything, all of my stamps downstairs, I ran across this set of stamps. It is faith-based. It's from Faith Art Inspiration Stamps. I have no idea if they're still around, but just looking at these, like, look at this little bird. I could stamp that little bird or even this dragonfly on here and stitch it, and then I could stamp like the word sing on it if I had like the bird on there. Wouldn't that be a cute little block? So like basically the size of these I really liked. So here's this flower right here. There's a cute little heart, little flowers. This one, I love the butterfly, the heart, the flowers, even like that cross would fit too. Oh my gosh. And then again, I could stamp like the word grace on it. I mean, just like how amazing. Like look at these stars. They would fit perfectly on this little block, or this half of a sun, right? Just any of it. Just, I don't know. When I saw these, I thought that these were perfect. And I was thinking about doing a set of them that were faith-based. So I would have, like, a similar type of project, but have it geared around these stamps. So, you know, I don't know if I'll end up using any of these on our current project, but this might be another project coming. Or I might decide to use some of them on the one we're going to work on now. So that's my thought there. So I definitely want to do a little bit of stamping on each block, even if it's just a little bit of the background stamp, which is generally, you know, some sort of a text generally. And then I'm going to sew the flowers on, or something that resembles a flower, right? Stem, leaves. And I was going to do 9 of them, so I'm still thinking the same thing, and I'm going to sew the 9 onto a 7.5-inch square backing, which would create a cute little wall hanging. So that's kind of my thought process on the current project, but I might be working on a second project at the same time. So, you know, anybody that, well, if you have stamps like the ones I was just showing you, chances are you have stencils as well. And I've got stencils. I have a bajillion stencils. And so in reality, and I know that this is way too big, but the concept is something I want to share with you, and then I'm going to share with you what I really want to do with this stencil. But say it was, you know, a small stencil, you know, that would fit on here. All you'd have to do is put this onto your fabric and just take a pen of sorts or even a pencil and just outline each of the areas. And so then you could then just like do stitches in between, you know, in between. You could do stitches which would give the shape of the flower. I think that's a beautiful idea. So if you don't have stamps, if you have stencils, you can do the same thing, where you can take a piece of fabric, put a stencil on it, and then outline it with a pen or pencil. You take that off, you have that image on your fabric, and you can stitch it any way you want. But as awesome as I think that is, I think I'm going to stick with my stamps for the 2.5-inch square project. But, okay, so now I'm talking to you paper crafters out there. Do you remember paper piecing? And I haven't thought about that in a long time. But I want to do a similar technique, but with fabrics, with this stencil. So what I would do is I would take a piece of fabric about the size of this, which is probably 6 inches by 6 inches. And then I was thinking of using pinks and reds. So this is, of course, fabrics. And what you would do is, so I hope I can explain this. So I would want each one of these sections on the stencil to have a different patterned fabric under it. So say for this piece right here, I use this fabric. I would, well, first of all, I would turn it over and work on this side, but I would go ahead and outline this, then cut it out, right? Then I have the next section to work on. So say I use this fabric, you know, outline it, cut it out. Now I have that. Then I have the next section. Same thing, outline, cut it out. And you do that with each of the sections in the stencil. Then what I'm going to do, so I know I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I just don't know when. So say it's on a piece of muslin, right? The size of this. I would probably make it a little bit bigger because as you stitch, your fabric tends to shrink a little bit, right? Because it's being pulled together a little bit. And so I would put all of the pieces of fabric on a bigger piece of, you know, fabric. I wish I had, I didn't pull out. Let me see what I have next to me right here. If I have anything I could potentially use. Okay, so this will work. So it might not be the exact right size, but close. So now on this fabric, I'm going to take all of those pieces that I cut out, right? This is the piecing part of it, right? This is what we used to do with patterned paper, scrapbook paper, that kind of thing. So it's that same concept. And then I'm going to put all of the pieces that I've cut out of all the different pattern fabrics. I'm going to put it on here the right way. And then well, first of all, I was thinking of putting some batting down so that I would have, it would be, I give a little bit of dimension. So I would have the batting down. Then I'll place all of these pieces on it. And I don't ever use glue. I think I've used glue once to hold a piece of fabric down. But I do not use glue. But in this case, I would use glue just to hold the fabric down enough so I can sew it without having to try to pin down all of these little pieces. It would never work. They're going to move. It just would never work. So I would just, just take a little bit of adhesive for each of those pieces of fabric, get them down in the right pattern, and get stitching. So this would be the base of it, then batting, and I would do it all in one piece because I would cover that whole thing with either the fabric or the stitching, because to stitch each piece down, I'm going to be stitching basically the outline of the piece of fabric. And I think what I can do, it kind of makes sense to me, that I can put these pieces right next to one another, right? So there wouldn't be this, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch space in between all of the pieces. So that's how you would not see the batting is, is if I do that. So I think in the end, what I would end up with is all of these sections would have a different piece of fabric. And again, I pulled out all of this, and I just pulled out a chunk from my stash, but like all of these pieces, and it would be dimensional because there would be batting, and it would just be so stinking pretty, I think. Very much like, I guess it kind of reminds me of a block for a quilt, right? I guess is really what it is, I suppose. I don't know. But that's what I want to do. Yep. Yep. So I really just wanted to share my ideas with you. It's interesting, you start with one concept and then it grows and grows. And like I said, as you look through your stash, just more ideas come at you. And yeah, so right now my head is full of all of these amazing ideas. But like I said, come Monday, this next Monday coming up, we are going to start on the first block. And I think I'm going to start with this yo-yo because I just love it so much. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So let me know if you have any questions. And if you wanted to kind of follow along with me, you certainly can. And I don't know, and we're just going to work on these little blocks. Or you could do bigger blocks. You could do whatever you want, right? It's yours. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, so I will be back on Monday, and we're going to start our next project, our 2.5-inch square project. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a wonderfully blessed weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.